This is CBC Here and Now.
Tonight on Here and Now, a man on trial for impaired driving causing death faces a judge in Clarenville. A police officer testifies he smelled alcohol at the crash site. And
keeping tabs on green crabs. We'll hear about an expanded effort to track the invasive species in the Bay of Islands coming up on Here and Now.
good evening and welcome to Here and Now. I'm Carolyn Stokes. The RCMP says officers can't find the 4 missing men or the fuselage of the float plane that crashed into Mustastin Lake in northern Labrador last week. Police say the plane was visible from the air shortly after it crashed, but it's believed that high winds and heavy rains caused the plane to sink into the lake, which could be a few hundred meters deep. The RCMP planned to use divers and a remotely operated underwater vehicle today to investigate. Meanwhile, the family of one of the men killed is questioning the safety of the Air Saguenay DHC-2 plane involved in the crash. Fishing guide Dwayne Windsor was one of 2 Newfoundland and Labrador men killed in the crash. And Windsor's son, Curtis Saunders, says the airline's track record of crashes in recent years shows that particular plane isn't well suited to northern Labrador.
He just said they were old and rickety and freaked him out. Specifically those, I don't know, they made him nervous. 4 crashes, 9 years, about 18 or so dead. That's 2 people a year dead, which is a lot given the amount of trips that they do and the amount of people that fit on the plane. The ratio is just off. You know, maybe you're using the wrong tool. You can say you got the best screwdriver in the world and it's perfectly fine, there's nothing wrong with it, but don't mean anything if you need a drill instead.
Now, the family is also remembering Windsor as an outdoorsman who was loved by all.
He had a little man cave out in the shed, and didn't matter who came over, there was always room for somebody. And he was really kind. I don't think anybody ever had a bad word to say about him, and I know that's a common thing to say when anybody passes away, but like really, I can't think of a single person that would even say anything bad about him. He was just so friendly, and his entire life was fishing, going in the woods, setting snares. Like, he was a real old school Newfie.
Well, police say a 46-year-old woman struck by a transport truck on Pitts Memorial Drive on Friday remains in hospital. She was in the eastbound lane of the highway when she was struck. Police say she's in stable condition and is being treated for her injuries. While police and medical crews were responding to that crash, another crash happened in the westbound lane involving 4 vehicles. The woman driving the blue SUV was taken to hospital and has since been released. The investigation is ongoing. Well, another crash this weekend in St. John's involving a pedestrian. Police are looking for a driver who fled after hitting a person yesterday. The RNC says the hit and run happened at Columbus Drive and Black Marsh Road around 6:30 p.m. The pedestrian was taken to hospital with serious but not life-threatening injuries. Police are asking anyone with information to come forward. Tension over the threat of methyl mercury contamination downstream from Muskrat Falls has flared once again. With flooding of Muskrat Falls Reservoir set to begin on August 7th, a Labrador Indigenous group today called on Premier Dwight Ball to suspend those plans. Here Now's Terry Roberts is following that story and joins us now. Terry?
Yeah, well, here's the latest wrinkle in the troubled plan to build a hydro station on the Lower Churchill. It's a news release issued today from the Nunavut government, accusing Premier Dwight Ball of betraying the trust of Labrador's Inuit people, with Nunavut President Johannes Lamp asking the Premier to order Nalcor to suspend plans to begin flooding the reservoir in a little over 2 weeks. I reached Lamp in Nain this afternoon by phone.
I just hope that the Premier of Newfoundland and Labrador will take into real consideration the plea that Labrador Inuit, the Nunavut government, are making to open his eyes. We trusted the Premier, and we don't really have any trust, especially with the commitments that the Premier has made.
Now, this is the latest chapter in a long-running dispute over methylmercury. Tension reached a boiling point in late 2016 when protests interrupted construction. Part of the site was occupied and dozens of people were arrested. There's concern that flooding will increase methylmercury levels downstream in Lake Melville and contaminate traditional foods such as fish, seal, and birds. But Nalcor's experts say the threat is very small and a robust monitoring system will keep close watch on the levels. This latest flare-up follows an embarrassing oversight by the government. Nalcor applied last year for a permit to do some capping of the reservoir before flooding. The plan was to spend roughly $30 million. This measure was estimated to reduce methylmercury levels by just 1 to 2% and was largely symbolic. But the permit was never processed by the Environment Department, and now Nalcor says it's too late to take any measures. There have been meetings in recent days with all three Indigenous groups in Labrador, but it's clear LAMP is not happy. Nunavut leaders say they are still very concerned about methylmercury and want the capping to proceed.
We have tried many different options, ways of how we can get through to Premier of Newfoundland and Labrador, taking into consideration the extreme concerns that Labrador Inuit and the Nunavut government have.
Now, LAMP stopped short of threatening further protests, but said his government is exploring all its options if this demand is rejected. Meanwhile, the reservoir is expected to reach its required elevation of 39 meters by the end of September. Carolyn?
Thanks, Terry. That's Here and Now's Terry Roberts reporting. Now, we asked Premier Dwight Ball's office for an interview. We were told the Premier isn't available today, but will be commenting on this tomorrow. As for Nalcor, a spokesperson directed questions to the provincial government. One other news tonight, 3 oiled birds have been spotted and a sheen still remains on the water after an estimated 12,000 liters of oil spilled from the Hibernia platform last Wednesday. As of this morning, one of those birds had been captured and was on its way to shore, according to the Hibernia Management and Development Company. Another bird was found dead but didn't have oil on it. It's being sent back to shore for tests. Hibernia is owned by a conglomerate of oil companies under the umbrella of HMDC, with the largest partner being ExxonMobil. An estimated 75 barrels of an oil and water mixture was discharged into the ocean from a storage cell on Wednesday. Hibernia was then ordered to halt all production on the platform. On Thursday morning, the Canada, Newfoundland and Labrador Offshore Petroleum Board said there were 2 slicks visible on the surface of the water. One was 1.71 square kilometers and 3.27 kilometers long, and another was 6.64 square kilometers and 3.78 kilometers long. Well, back on land, the weather has cleared up, the roads have dried, and that's good news for bike riders. It's time to check in with Here and Now's wandering reporter, Jeremy Eaton. So, Jeremy, where are you tonight?
Well, as you can see, there's a number of bikers, cyclists here behind me. They're getting ready for the weekly Monday night bike ride. This is put off by the St. John's Triathlon group. We're going to talk to a couple of cyclists, and we're going to learn about this year's triathlon coming up after the break.
Well, as you can see out there, Jeremy, in the sunshine, that's because things cleared out this afternoon. Temperatures recovered quite nicely as well. 19 degrees was the afternoon high, and actually that probably just jumped up because it was 17 degrees a little bit earlier. We've got a number of temperatures in the 20-degree range. Now, as we head through the next couple of days, a couple of systems moving through. It does look like we're in for a warm-up as we head towards the weekend. I'll have all the details coming up.
Thanks, Ashley. Well, a trial for a man accused of drunk driving causing death started today in Clarenville. 33-year-old Travis Firmage is accused of killing a Southern Harbor fisherman in 2017. Calvin Tobin was a passenger in his car when it struck a transport truck that August. Here Now's Garrett Berry has been covering this case and joins us now live from Clarenville. So Garrett, what did the court hear today?
The court here heard for the most part today from one single police officer, Constable Roy Chappell, who called himself the lead investigator on the case. He testified that he was one of the first to arrive at the scene of the crash in August 2017, and that when he was there, he could smell alcohol coming from the car that Travis Firmage was driving. He also testified to court that he could see a broken bottle of beer in the vehicle and a box of beer bottles in the vehicle as well. Travis Firmage is charged with one count of impaired driving causing death and two counts of impaired driving causing bodily harm. He has pleaded not guilty. Police have said that he was driving a car that crossed into an opposing lane of traffic and struck an oncoming tractor trailer. The crash happened around 11 p.m. on August 1st, 2017. Fisherman Calvin Tobin was a passenger in Firmage's vehicle. Both men were brought to hospital that night, but Tobin was pronounced dead the following day. His death sparked a battle between the FFAW and the Tobin family over insurance benefits. Constable Chappell testified this morning that the evidence he saw on the scene indicated to him that Tobin was not wearing a seatbelt at the time of the crash. Firmage's lawyer has not yet completed her cross-examination of the witness, and nor has she called any of her own witnesses in this first day of trial. That is scheduled to continue tomorrow, and that's also when court anticipates it will hear from the driver of the tractor trailer, also involved in this accident. Reporting live for Here and Now, I'm Garrett Berry in Clarenville.
A nonprofit group in the Bay of Islands is making a big effort to battle an invasive species. As Lindsay Bird reports, ACAP Humber Arm has just begun a 3-year push to get a grip on green crabs.
Green crabs, first spotted in Newfoundland waters in 2007 and here in the Bay of Islands in 2012. They're one of the world's worst invasive species that will eat just about anything and destroy local habitat while they're at it.
They're known as the cockroaches of the sea. That's because they're really hard to kill.
ACAP Humber Arm trapped green crabs for years in this area. The more they caught, the lower crab numbers got, and the nonprofit group mostly stopped its monitoring in 2015. But now, 4 years later, the nonprofit group is getting back into the green crab game and wading back into a lot of unknowns.
So it's going to be interesting to see now, after these years have gone by, whether those populations in those areas have rebounded or whether they've stayed suppressed.
Staff will spend the next 3 years trapping and tracking green crabs from late spring to early fall. Today they caught 5, about 100 in their first 2 weeks, and they expect that number to continue to rise. It's all a concerted effort to figure out how many green crabs are out in the bay and how big a problem they've become.
Time will tell as we go on over these 3 years, but hopefully the levels are still low enough that this trapping effort will continue to suppress the population within the Humber Arm here.
Whatever conclusions arise at the end of this study, one thing already seems almost inevitable, that green crabs are so aggressive and so adaptable that they'll be a problem in the Bay of Islands for years to come. Lindsay Bird, CBC News, Summerside.
Well, a Canadian dairy company is recalling 2 brands of ice cream sandwiches sold in Ontario, Quebec, and Atlantic Canada. AgroPure Cooperative says there are concerns its Iceberg and Original Augustin brand mega sandwiches may contain fine metal particles. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency advises anyone who purchased the products to throw them out or return them to the store for a full refund. The company says there have been no reports of injuries.
I really somehow had no idea how widely spread this is and how every single woman that I know has been touched by this.
She was at the center of the Jiangomeshi sexual assault trial, and tonight she shares what it was like taking her allegations to court. My conversation with Lucy Descouture in about 25 minutes.
Gian, how do you feel?
Welcome back, everyone, and welcome back, Ashley.
Thank
Happy
you.
Monday to you.
Yes, it's Monday.
Yay.
It's crazy that it's Monday, but yes.
Well, before we get to the weather,
Yep.
we have some big news.
Yeah, for Shalloway, something that happened over the weekend.
Yeah, the St. John's-based youth choir was ranked as one of the best in the world. It performed at the CBC International Choral Singing Competition in Italy.
Yeah, and Shalloway is the first choir from the province to make it to the competition's Grand Prix.
That's fantastic. They were one of 6 choirs of all ages to earn that honor, and you can probably hear their excitement the moment that they got that news.
Shalloway.
I'm just a tad excited.
Just a little bit.
That is fantastic. They earned a gold medal in the gospel category, silver in contemporary music, and 3rd place overall. Here's that moment from Italy.
Shalloway, you
Isn't that great? Congratulations to Shalloway. That is just fantastic. Isn't that nice?
How lovely.
Have you heard Shalloway sing yet?
I have a couple times. Beautiful choir.
Yeah, just great.
Yeah.
Well deserving of that honor for sure.
Absolutely.
So now for a look at the weather. It cleared up today.
It
quite
did.
nicely.
It cleared up today. We sat around 17 degrees here in the metro area, well, St. John's anyway, and then jumped up just as I was doing the weather a little bit earlier. So we'll take a look at those temperatures. Currently sitting at 19 degrees in St. John's. We've got 23 through Badger, and Corner Brook sitting at 20, and then in those mid to high teens up through Labrador. A little bit cooler along the coast, and that's because we're in that onshore flow, and we've still got a low pressure system spinning off the coast, and that is leading to some of those cooler temperatures for Labrador. Otherwise, we do have some clearing skies. As we mentioned, that rain moved off this morning as well, and we're going to continue to see some of those clearing skies as we head through the night tonight. And then towards the early morning hours, we'll start to see the next system roll in, and that's going to bring some cloud cover with it. Up through Labrador, a little bit unsettled, still looking at that chance of showers overnight tonight, and then coastal areas as well. So here's a look at your temperatures. Quite mild, 13 degrees for Corner Brook, same for Port aux Basques. A little cooler for Grand Falls. Windsor should sit around 9 degrees as your overnight low. Those winds are going to shift or stay around west-northwesterlies along the coast. Still light though, 10 to 15 kilometers per hour up through St. Anthony. Still looking at that chance of showers tonight. Maybe in the next hour or so we could see some more showers through Central, but then all of that should clear out and looking at partly cloudy skies overnight tonight. Up through Labrador, going to hang on to that chance of showers around 9 degrees for Lab West, some southwesterlies 5 to 10 kilometers per hour, and then along the coast again, that drizzle and fog continuing for Nain, Cartwright, and then the Straits looking at about 8 degrees as your overnight low. So tomorrow. Next system rolls in. It's going to move quite quickly. We should start to see that cloud cover move in by morning, especially along the south coast, and then those showers will move in. So with that, we'll see slowly moving a little bit further north as we head towards the evening, certainly for the Avalon, late afternoon, early evening, and then towards Central, you'll see that move in overnight or late evening, early morning hours for you. And then up through Labrador, looking unsettled tomorrow. Might even hear a few rumbles of thunder for parts of Central and Lab West tomorrow afternoon. Otherwise, those temperatures pretty similar to what we're seeing today. And again, you're going to see that cloud cover move in and that chance of showers through the afternoon. Early afternoon for the southern part of the Avalon, and then towards the evening hours for the rest of the Avalon. Southeasterlies, the winds will pick up towards the evening hours as well, between 20 and 30 kilometers per hour. Otherwise, within a degree or two of what we saw today for most areas. Harbour Breton 16, a little cooler along the coast. We can thank that onshore flow for that. And then Grand Falls Windsor 22 degrees, 21 in Terra Nova, 19 for Twillingate. As you head towards the west coast, a little bit warmer. So between 20 and 23 degrees, it looks like. Gross Mourne 24. And then towards the northern peninsula, most of the day should stay dry. If we do see anything, it'll likely just be some spits of rain. Not too much in the way of that. Plenty of sunshine, it looks like, for the southwestern portion of Labrador, so southeastern portion rather. 17 degrees for Mary's Harbour, 19 in Cartwright. And then as we head towards the western portion of Labrador, again, a little cooler and still looking at that chance of showers and maybe even a few rumbles of thunder. I'll have all the details looking a little bit ahead when I come back.
Thanks, Ashley. Less than a month away from the 35th running of the St. John's Triathlon. The longest portion of that triathlon is the bike stretch, and to help athletes get ride ready, the group is hosting a Monday night session, and that's where Jeremy is right now. Jeremy.
Yeah, Carolyn, as you can see, if Mike could just have a little look here, there must be about 50 cyclists here today looking to take part in the weekly Monday bike ride, and I have two special guests with me, Eileen O'Brien and Paul Daw. Fun fact about Paul Daw, he coached me in swimming in the early 1990s. Thanks for joining us, Paul.
You're welcome. It's
Paul,
great to be here.
Paul, why do you take part in this ride?
This is it's a great ride for everybody from beginners to experienced cyclists to get out and be social, but learn how to ride on the roads, get used to being around traffic, being safe, get to know the race course before the race comes up in the middle of August.
Now, as I mentioned, I've known Paul for many, many years, and when you moved here from Happy Valley Goose Bay, you told me you didn't have a car, so you rode your bike everywhere, so you've been on the road for a number of decades. What's it like riding around in the city?
At times wonderful, often challenging. You've got the weather to deal with, you've got potholes, and then you've got the ongoing challenge of dealing with motorists and traffic in the city. And most of the time that's really good, but occasionally it's quite difficult and it can be quite challenging.
Is it, can I put you on the spot and ask you about the 1 meter rule a little bit?
Yeah, well, we've got the new 1 meter rule that designates that vehicles, when you're passing a cyclist, should maintain a distance of a minimum of 1 meter or a little over 3 feet. And that's for safety, and it's to make sure that the cyclist has got room if they need to make a sudden stop or a move, and the motorist is not that close that there's a risk of hitting them. And really, it's time, I think, for all motorists to understand, and cyclists, that if you're safe, if you're careful and cautious, and you follow that rule, it's really going to minimize the chance of any incidents that are going to happen in the city with cyclists.
Oh, I appreciate your time. We're just going to pull over to Eileen. Eileen, when did you when did you first start cycling?
I probably started cycling about 7 years ago. I was down in Houston, and there was a charity event going on, and it was called the MS 150. So I learned how to ride long rides for that, because it was 150 mile over 2 days.
And how long have you, when did you get involved here with the St. John's Triathlon?
I probably got involved with the triathlon when one of my good friends took up triathloning, and I saw her go through the swim and then the bike and the run, and I was totally awestruck. I thought, wow, I'd love to be able to do that.
And you did do that. Can you talk? And my mother will murder me. My mother, sorry, will murder me for talking about a woman's age. But can you tell us when you first did how old you were when you did your first triathlon?
I'm not shy about that.
Okay.
I was about 47, 48 years old. I only started learning how to swim about 4 years ago with Chris and Rob Martin and Splash and Dash. And they have a series that helps you get ready for the triathlon. So that was really helpful.
Now, I don't know, Mike, if we can get a shot of your fancy little jersey, but can you quickly tell me a little bit about your outfit and what it's all about?
Yeah, this is the jersey and the short set that was bought for the Trapassi Posse. That's a large bike ride that goes on once a year here in St. John's, and it follows the Irish Loop. So this year they decided, for safety reasons, to go in reverse order. So we went up the Salmonier line and then straight out to Trapassi, stayed overnight, and then go from Trapassi then back through the Ghouls to St. John's through a few little hills.
Well, now thank you very much. Eileen, thank you very much. Paul, now these people are all very eager to get out on their bikes, so we're going to let them go, and we're going to check in. And coming up later on the show, we're going to talk to Jason Pretty about the upcoming St. John's Triathlon, which is later in August. Reporting live for Here and Now, I'm Jeremy Eaton in Portugal Cove, St. Phillips.
I thought I might feel afraid, but instead I feel stronger.
The hardest part for me has been just seeing someone you love suffer so much.
1 year after a tragic shooting on a popular Toronto street, a nurse from this province tried to help victims while his girlfriend's life was changed forever. That update is next. Welcome back to Here and Now. A woman who was involved in a sexual assault trial that made international news is sharing her story in St. John's tonight. In 2016, Lucy Descouture was one of 3 women who testified against Jian Gomeshi. The trial ended with his acquittal on multiple sexual assault charges. Well, tonight, Descouture will be part of a panel talking about sexual assault and the law at the Rocket Room downtown. This afternoon, we spoke about how the experience changed her life.
When I think about October 2014, it makes my stomach turn, because that in and of itself became the beginning of a very traumatic number of years that deeply outweighed the actual assault. So again, that's a different kind of re-traumatization, and it opens you up to vicarious trauma if people recognize you and want to talk with you about it. I learned so much going through the experience of talking publicly about sexual assault, but then talking legally about sexual assault, and then acting as a person who was receiving a lot of stories about intimate partner violence and sexual misconduct. And the thing I think, I learned a million lessons from that, and I am a different person than I was before. But the thing that I learned about it is I really somehow had no idea how widely spread this is, and how every single woman that I know has been touched by this, which is shocking to me.
You say that you're a different person now. Did that experience change you?
The experience of talking about sexual assault changed me because I haven't had a day since October 2014 where I haven't talked about sexual assault, whereas almost every other day I've ever had before that, I didn't. And also, it's changed my sense of humor. It's changed the way I deal with people. It's changed the way I deal with men in the workplace. It's changed the way I dress.
How has it changed your sense of humor?
I have always had a fairly raucous sense of humor, and that remains, but it used to be super hyper-sexualized, and now it isn't. I really felt like so much shame and so much terribleness about the circumstance and about the stories that were coming at me, that I felt like I owed it to the folks who were unable to use their voice to kind of give it all up. And that was a mistake that I'm the only person who pays for it, but it's been expensive. Yeah, bad.
How do you mean expensive?
Expensive in the sense that I lost years of seeing my friends' kids because I couldn't hang out with them. I missed a lot of hangs with people. It hit me professionally because there were opportunities that I couldn't take advantage of. I spent a lot of time living in my hometown, squirreled away in my flat. So now I'm feeling better, and I can start to literally go into the world and start to look at things more freshly.
Moving now to northern British Columbia, where there have been 3 suspicious deaths and 2 disappearances, all in the span of 1 week. 5 people have been declared missing or murdered along the same stretch of remote highway in northern BC. The disturbing string of events started last Monday when police discovered the bodies of a young tourist couple on the side of an Alaska highway. Police say 24-year-old China Deese of Northern Carolina and 23-year-old Australian Lucas Fowler were shot and killed. The pair was last seen on the side of the road with their camper tending to mechanical issues. Not 5 days later, less than 500 kilometers away, police discovered yet another dead body on the side of the road. That body has not yet been identified. And near that scene, police came across a burning, abandoned camper truck. The 2 young drivers of that camper are believed to be missing. 19-year-old Cam McLeod and 18-year-old Briar Shemelski were traveling to Whitehorse for work. They've not made contact with their families for several days. RCMP are warning the public to remain vigilant while traveling. They're also looking for information from anyone who may have seen the 2 young men.
To see how many people have come together to reclaim Danforth as a safe space for families and children. I mean, it's amazing, really.
Danielle Kane's life was forever changed last year when a gunman opened fire on a busy Toronto street. 2 people were killed, 13 were injured. Kane and her boyfriend immediately rushed to help. She's a nursing student and he's an emergency room nurse from this province. They hardly made it out the door of the restaurant when they came face to face with the shooter, who began firing in their direction. One of those bullets shattered a vertebrae near the base of Kane's spine. CBC first spoke to Kane and her partner Jerry Pinkson last summer on the 1-year anniversary of that shooting. The pair sat down with the National's Andrew Chang.
We're okay. We're hanging in there. It's been, as you can imagine, a really tough year. I guess for me, I'm really surprised about how long the rehabilitation process is taking, especially regarding like the chronic pain that I'm experiencing.
And we knew that the disability or paraplegia, so she never walk again, was an issue. And we knew we were like fighting and preparing for that possibility, that future. But then if you put this whole new element of pain, it's been a bit difficult because you see your partner struggling with this new disability, and then she has another disability of pain, which is preoccupying.
Can you describe what that feels like?
Well, it's an intense pins and needles feeling from my waist down. So it's quite all-encompassing. It's almost like you feel like half your body is trapped in concrete.
Can you walk me a bit through those little ways that life is different now?
In the past, you wake up in the morning, you get out of bed, and then you start your day. I can't get out of bed right away. Like, I need to take time for my pain medication to kick in. When I do finally get a day where my pain is controlled and we go out, it's hard for me, honestly, it's hard for me to see all the other able-bodied young people and just seeing how freely they move through the world, and it reminds me of like what was taken away from me, and it's hard.
I know all of your attention is focused on Danielle. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I can't change the situation that we're in. I can only try to make things better for myself and for my partner, for Danielle. So I can't dwell on trying to say the what if and how to change things. I just try to focus on what I can change a day, in a week, or in a month. I don't mind sacrificing my own well-being for a short term just to help her through this period, because I know when the tables are turned, she's there sacrificing herself for me.
The last time we spoke to you, it was about the shooter. And
right.
it was something that actually really struck me
right.
quite a bit. You said that you felt sorry for him.
Oh, I still do. It's obvious to me that, he was suffering. Faisal clearly had these issues for a long time, and he fell through the cracks. He was supposed to follow up with a forensic psychologist, and that never happened. I think our system needs to be improved. I think that individuals like this should have, caseworkers or someone that they need to check in with regularly, whatever it is that they need to stay on track and not be so isolated as he was. The reason I decided to embark on the nursing program was because I wanted to help people with mental health issues. And I thought that through nursing, that would be a great way to do it.
You have support here.
I do.
Tell me about this guy.
He's amazing. I mean, even at the beginning when we first started dating, I was like, where'd you come from? He's just he's so kind and so generous and just loyal to a fault. And
loyal to a fault.
Yeah,
Why'd that make you snicker?
Because it's like, you think about loyalty, there's no fault in it being really loyal and stuff. It's something that just like feels right, and like when you feel you're committed to a partner and you love a partner, it's just like what you do for them.
One last thing, I know you guys have a busy time ahead, right? In the coming weeks, coming months.
Yeah.
Big move.
Yes.
Yeah, moving to Oshawa. So
Exactly.
near Danielle's nursing school. That was our main driving force to move out there.
Yes.
So we're excited to move into a new community. We talk about the importance of community, and we really want to get into a new home, accessible home for Danielle.
Yes.
And then get into the community and put our roots down.
Danielle, I and everyone watching and Jerry wish you all the best. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Thank you.
Welcome back, everyone. Well, it's the biggest triathlon in the province, and the start day is less than 3 weeks away. This year's race is turning 35, and it's also a qualifying race for the World Triathlon Championships. Here now's Germain isn't far from the start line. So, Jeremy, are you race ready yet?
I certainly am not race ready. Full disclosure, I've done this event the last 3 years. But I had a big life-changing event happen in January with a baby being born, so I put training on the back burner. But my guest here has certainly not put training on the back burner. This is Jason Pretty. He's the chair of the St. John's Triathlon Board. Yep. That's right. And he's also an amazing, look how fit he is. He's also an amazing triathlete. Anyways, Jason, tell us a little bit about this year's triathlon event. It's a big one.
Yeah, it's a big one. So this year, the St. John's Triathlon, it's our 35th anniversary. So the sport of triathlon is only 45 years old, so it's our event is one of the oldest in North America. So it's a big year for us, and yeah, so we've had it now this will be the 35th year. It's also a qualifier for the World Triathlon Championships for 2020. So they're being held in Edmonton, Alberta in August of 2020, and our race is one of around 10 or 12 qualifying races in all of Canada to qualify for that. So we're pretty excited.
How big of a deal is that for the St. John's race to act as a qualifier?
It's pretty big because it's not every race will get chosen for that. So it's you know, they chose races that have a good pedigree. We offer a beautiful scenic course here. It's a well-established race that's been on the go for a long time, and that's what they look for in a qualifying race. So we're happy to host it this year, and we can't wait.
Now, the grassroots, the sport of triathlon is growing. Obviously, there's a big future coming up. I know the Canada Games athletes, that program is pretty strong. But talk about the Kids of Steel, because if you're going to be around Bowring Park on Regatta Day, you're going to see the Kids of Steel. Can you just explain how big and how popular that event has become?
So so we also organize the Kids of Steel Triathlon. So that takes place every year on Regatta Day. So if Regatta Day is postponed, the Kids of Steel is also postponed. And so this year we have 550 kids registered already, so it sells out every single year. When registration usually opens the first day of, we get over half the spots sell out immediately. So it's a huge event. The kids love it, the parents love it. We get, Bowring Park on Regatta Day is full of thousands of people cheering on kids, and it's not a timed event, it's not a race, they're just doing it to participate. And everybody loves it. It's an amazing event.
Now, I know, as you notice, there are no cyclists here behind us because they've all gone for the ride. We've held up Jason, so we're going to let him get back on the road. Thanks for your time, man. I appreciate it. Yeah. And we're going to throw it back to Carolyn in the studio.
Thanks, Jeremy. Well, a St. John's woman is fighting controversial statements from the White House with theater. She's taking her short plays to parks around town in hopes that one narrative might cancel out the other. Here Now's Malone Mullen has more.
I will build a big wall.
Parables have power. At least that's what Prajvala Dikshit believes. She wants to teach her young daughter through ancient tales from India, but found herself rewriting them.
I couldn't find literature that brought her worlds together, Indian and Canadian. So I set about telling her stories that I've heard growing up from India, that my nans told me or that I read.
So instead of monkeys and tigers, she's now telling the story of the hare and the wolf. Finding those themes applicable to modern day, Dikshit is now bringing these tales to public parks for other kids to hear.
I'll make Hibernia great again.
The script might sound familiar. That's because the playwright has her ear to the ground, writing these stories based not only on tradition, but on her own political anxieties. The villain this week, a character that seems a lot like U.S. President Donald Trump.
The lone wolf is telling people that he wants to make Aranya, the forest, great again. He wants to build walls, and he does not want change. And when people tell him to change things, he tells them to go back home.
Dikshit says she wants to fight the narratives Trump spreads with stories of inclusion.
I think the messaging needs to start very young and very early, and we need to be careful about what we tell them and what they listen to and what they see and hear.
If all goes according to her plan, the kids pay attention to the morals embedded in these plays, walking away entertained and perhaps a little warier of the big bad wolf. Malone Mullen, CBC News, St. John's.
Drew sent us this colorful photo. Take a guess and I'll let you know in a few minutes.
Welcome back, everyone. What a cute picture this is that you have to show us tonight. I love this.
Take a look at this weather photo. A little bit of a colorful photo there. This photo was taken in Elliston, which is where those puffins are. Haven't seen one yet. Can't wait to go out. Not yet, no. But
you have to go out on the Fables tour.
Right. I'm definitely going to have to do that. Man, in the next couple of weeks probably. But yeah, puffins and a rainbow in Elliston.
What more do you want? Jam on it.
What more do you want? Basically it. Other than maybe some sunshine. That would be nice. But yeah, we've seen the last couple of days, we've had a couple of systems roll through. This is what we're looking at right now. So we've got an area of low pressure sitting offshore, one just making its way up through Labrador, and then some cloud cover moving in as well. Now in between that, we are going to see a ridge of high pressure in play. That's going to bring in some warmer air just to the south there, and our next weather maker will be this cloud cover here. That's going to move in over the next couple of days, but the heat is certainly on the way. So we'll get to that in just a few minutes. Here's your Wednesday forecast. 22 degrees it looks like for St. John's. We will start to see some rain move in towards the overnight hours. Quickly though, doesn't look like too much as far as that goes. Does look like the south coast will see, especially the Burin Peninsula, 20 degrees for Marystown, but that rain will move in. And then up through Gander as well. St. Anthony going to see 13 degrees, so a little bit cooler with that chance of showers through the day on Wednesday. And then it's going to get unsettled as that next area of low pressure moves in for Happy Valley Goose Bay, 21 degrees. Lab City a little cooler as well, 16, and some cloud cover and some showers on the way for you. So there's that rain that will move in Wednesday night. Thursday morning quickly getting out of the way, and it does look like Thursday afternoon will be a lovely day for most of the island. Just some cloud cover moving in as well. Up through Labrador, unsettled. So we're going to hang on to the unsettled weather at least through the overnight. Friday looks beautiful for most of the province. Slight chance of a few showers for Lab City, and then that will move in overnight again into Saturday morning for parts of Labrador. Otherwise, the weekend at this point looks pretty nice. Temperatures are going to climb as well. So here's a look at the next 5 days. There's your climb in temperatures and then sunshine. Thursday's the best chance of seeing that the best chance of showers again in the morning. Will clear into the evening hours. And then Friday and Saturday at this moment look nice. Should add to that 20-degree temperatures by the time Saturday rolls around. A couple more days of that for sure. Now for central Newfoundland, it looks even warmer. So tomorrow we're looking at that rain and then generally clearing. Sunshine as we speak right now from Thursday to Saturday with temperatures in the mid to high 20s. And then same thing for western Newfoundland. That showers, you're going to stay in the 20s right across the board. 27 degrees it looks like by Saturday. And with that, some humidity on the way. And then up through eastern Labrador, sunshine tomorrow. Now for central, there is a slight chance we could see or hear a few rumbles of thunder rather, but mainly looking at that sunshine through the day. Wednesday, we're looking at that chance of showers, and that will continue through Thursday. Friday looks like sunshine, and then return of that chance of showers for Sunday, or Saturday rather, but 27 degrees. And then for western Labrador, a little cooler tomorrow and Wednesday. Eventually, we will start to see that temperature climb towards the 20-degree mark by the time we get to Friday, and Saturday looks lovely as well. So there's a look at your forecast.
You can get them swimming if you want. Yeah, so we're just here down at Healy's Pond at Sunshine Camp, enjoying a little bit of sun and sand. The cyclists have all left. There's a few people swimming over there, but that's today. Now tomorrow, if the weather holds and we get a day like this, we're going to head down to the boathouse at Kitty Vitty. And the Royal St. John's Regatta Committee has started a couple of programs that run on Tuesday, and one of them mixes rowing and yoga for Roga. So hopefully, if the weather holds, we'll be able to do that on top of the boathouse tomorrow night.
So is the weather going to hold tomorrow night? How's it looking for Jeremy?
Well, we're going to start to see some increase in cloud. We'll take a quick look at the forecast for tomorrow across the board. So we will start to see that the showers move in, south coast first, and then slowly move north. It does look like we should see some showers here by the early evening and through the overnight here in the metro area. 18 degrees, so hopefully it holds off for Jeremy, but overall we are looking at a great day tomorrow up through Labrador. Not bad. 23 degrees for Happy Valley Goose Bay. And then could see the slight chance of a few thunderstorms maybe in the afternoon. Best chance seeing that thunder will be, or hearing that thunder rather, will be for Lab West at 15 degrees and a little cooler up through Nain. Still sitting in those single digits. But Cartwright looks beautiful, 19 degrees, plenty of sunshine. And then St. Anthony 13. Those winds for the metro area, south-southeasterlies, 20 to 30 kilometers per hour. You'll see that pick up as we head towards the evening. So, I mean, enjoy tonight.
Yeah.
It's my
Get out and barbecue.
Get out and barbecue if you can, and then
go for a walk.
Yeah.
And I know it's a long ways off, but I am excited already about the weekend forecast because Saturday looks like it's going to be great. I know it can change.
It can change.
But it probably will. But
But we are looking at some warmer temperatures as we head through at least the next week or so. So let's keep that.
Yeah, fingers crossed. All right. Thanks so much for joining us, everyone. Enjoy your evening.
Good night.